Hey, this is Jim. I'm back, and I am not making cookies this time. Got a lot of really great comments from people who said I helped them understand some of the benefit of virtual reality, which is, I think, fantastic. The way the camera's set up right now, I'm actually having you look down a little bit. So if you're looking at this in a VR headset, you're kind of looking down in the prep area. So anyway, as I said in my last video, I don't bake very often, but I do smoke quite a bit. So what we decided to do, it's New Year's Eve right now, is tomorrow on New Year's Day, I'm gonna smoke ribs. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and start to prep some ribs. I did clean my cook area. I've got a piece in here. Of course, if you're working with meats, you do wanna make sure that you're keeping everything clean. This is probably, if you haven't seen one of these before, this is like one of the world's best inventions. I actually just pulled it out of my cabinet. It's got this little shelf over here. But what it is it's this little system that you can set up and put across the sink. So it gives you an extra work surface or an area to put stuff down. Really easy to roll it up and put it away. So there's your little tip for the day. All right, so what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna go ahead and just open up the ribs. I'm gonna rinse them off and I'm gonna dab them down a little bit. All right, so as I said, it is New Year's Eve. What I like to do is I like to marinate overnight so that tomorrow when it takes the smoke, it already has a lot of that flavor embedded into it. Even though it's only 6 o'clock at night, I'm gonna do this. So we're gonna get about 14 or 15 hours worth of the dry rub marinating into the meat before we even cook it. Let's start with the basic rub first. So what I'm gonna do is just put a nice generous amount on, and I do both sides of the ribs. Oh, but I forgot the most important part. The back of the ribs actually have a bit of a membrane on them, and that membrane, when you try to bite into it, can get stuck in your teeth and is not very pleasant to work with. And it can be a real pain in the neck to get off. So I'll show you my little technique. I start at one end of the rib and try to get the end of it going and get it broken off of the last couple ribs. Anyway, all right, so let's go ahead and rub this side up here nice. And you want to be generous with it. You can see this one's already causing us to sweat nicely. Okay. That one is good. One, two. Okay. There's one down. Let's give the second one a try here. Let's go back into the membrane world. See if this one's going to embarrass me as much as the last one did. Like I said, sometimes I've had these that come right off, and sometimes, like the last one, was nothing but a pain. So I can usually start here at the end, get a good cut on it. Let's get it started anyway. There we go. And that paper towel. There we go. There we go. Now you just see how that thing is just peeling right back. That's what I could not do on the last one. But that's that membrane that you don't want to have to deal with. And as you get further down the ribs here, as it gets down underneath the fat down there, you don't need to worry about it as much. So we'll do that. That's a nice piece of meat right there. Lots of extra meat on that. That's fantastic. All right. So this is our second rub, which is not the hot one. To wear some gloves. All right. So before I get started on this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these serrano peppers, which are extremely hot. In fact, they're even much hotter than a jalapeno pepper is. You can get these very readily here in Texas. And all I'm going to do is just slice it down the middle, make for a pretty good spicy meal. All right, last set. You got to go back to to that membrane that I was talking about. Let's see if we can get lucky on this one here. Grab this paper towel. Now, for all of you that are there laughing, going, remember, I'm the one that's caring enough to get out here and make a video and embarrass myself. So if any of you know a better way to get at this stuff, by all means, I am all ears. It's just work. You know, not barbecue, but smoking, a lot of people think it's easy, that you just, I'm going to put it in the smoker and come back in 6 hours, 8 hours, whatever. You know, a lot of the prep is very important in barbecue. Or, well, barbecue and smoking, I guess. Okay. There we go, look at that one. We didn't have that fat all the way down. I was able to get that one all the way down, pull that right off. All right, for this last set, let's go ahead and just do the inside first. This rub has got quite a bit of heat to it, but that's by design. You'll notice I didn't do all of the ribs this way, just the ones, you know, you get a couple onto these nice ones on a plate, together with some of the other ones that are just flavored a little bit differently. And, you know, you don't ruin your meal by having something that's ridiculously hot, but you really get that nice flavor. Oh, it's now about a little after 6, maybe 6:20 or something, 6:15. We're gonna let these sit overnight, and then we'll come back to them in the morning. Okay, here we are about 12 hours later, and getting ready to put the ribs into the smoker. Now, I use a Bradley smoker. It is a digital smoker. Some of the purists out there will tell you that it's cheating, but I actually like consistency and predictability. So, hey, go figure. It's a bit my personality. So anyway, the Bradley smoker basically uses these little discs. Ooh, that's heavy. And I'm actually using applewood and mesquite together. I don't like straight up mesquite. I think it's a really, really strong taste of smoke. So I use a little bit of mesquite at the beginning of the smoke, and then spend most of the time with applewood. And that's just how I happen to make mine. The Bradley smoker takes 3 of these discs for every hour of cooking. So I've actually put 10 in there because I smoke my ribs for about 3 hours and 20 minutes. And so let's go ahead and get these prepped. All right, set those back there. First set of ribs out here. Okay, so we get our first set of ribs together, and then I'm going to put these up into the smoker, like so. All right, let's go ahead and just cut this set down. Okay, so this is the set that are extremely hot. Now I'm going to leave these on when I cook them. I just have to make sure I can cut this through first. Like so. Now, because this is my extremely hot set, remember I used a lot of cayenne pepper and hot in here, as well as the serrano. I want to go ahead and cook these or smoke these down at the bottom rack, because I don't want all of the heat from these to drip down onto the other ones, because like I said, I'm probably the only one that really enjoys this piece. I've got the oven temperature set at 230 degrees. because I have put cold meat in there and I've been opening and closing it, it's now dropped to 205 degrees. So digital timer, the good news about this is I really don't have to do much other than come out and just make sure that the biscuits are dropping in there properly onto the smoke generator itself. As I said earlier, they're just little biscuits like this. They last about 20 minutes and then they push off. They're quenched in water so you don't get any of that kind of burnt wood smell. All you get is that sweet smoke that comes out of there. So far we've prepped our ribs. We went ahead and put them in smoke. They've been in almost 4 hours now in smoke. I went a little bit longer because it is so cold out here. It took a little bit longer for the smoker to come up to temperature. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're going to take the ribs and we're going to grab a rack of them. Okay. Those are looking good. Now, you'll notice they're really not starting to pull back from the bone or anything yet, and it's because there's still quite a bit of cooking to be done. But what we want to do is cook it now, kind of wrap it up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it into to foil, and I'm basically going to steam the ribs for a while so that they don't dry out and get some of that humidity really going. So what we'll do is I'm going to actually add a little bit of these. Put it down there before we have an accident. There we go. Is a little bit of apple juice. And I like to use a little bit of apple juice in there because it adds a little bit of sweetness to it, adds a little bit of humidity in there. And then as they continue to cook, you get a nice tight seal on this. I'm going to keep that humidity inside. So for my spicy ribs, what I like to do is a little bit of tequila. But I put about, an ounce of tequila in with that. And so that should really permeate and make some really great flavors. All right. Okay, so like I said, when I pulled out this bottom rack, which is my spicy rack, remember I kept the spicy rack on the bottom so that the heat or the spices that I used to really spice those up wouldn't get into the rest of the food. But what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to actually move these up to the top of the smoker. In fact, in order to do that, I'm going to take the top rack and bring it to the middle, to the bottom. And I'm going to take what was on the bottom and bring it onto the top. There we go. And that way those ribs that were at the top, which are probably some of the cooler ones, are going to get a little bit of that heat. We have now spent 7 hours taking a look at creating ribs, smoked ribs. So let's go ahead and pull these out of here. They are, look at that, so incredible. You see that nice crust that's gone on there from that extra little bit of dry heat there at the end. These have fallen apart so much that the one of the bones has actually come out of it. And the last one here, these are the hot ones, still got serrano peppers on there and everything else. Absolutely fantastic. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this little video in virtual reality showing you how to make ribs. Subscribe below, and more importantly, put your comments down below. What do you want me to make next, or what do you want me to do next? Let's see what we can discover in virtual reality.